season hits in October, then the blackouts follow. Now, last year, nearly 1 in 4 U.S. households lost power, and most outages dragged on for 6 hours or longer. Federal energy officials warn the problem could double by 2030 if the grid doesn't catch up. Now, instead of relying on flashlights or gas generators, more families are turning to something already in their garage, and that is electric vehicles. So with me is Emmy Award-winning journalist and USA Today tech columnist Jennifer Jolly to explain this. And you tell us what you've got a vehicle there. Set the scene. Like, what are we looking at here, and how can it help us?
Well, it really does sound like science fiction, but when the power went down during our first big windstorm of the year here in the Pacific Northwest just last week, this GMC Sierra EV AT4 kept everything up and running. Ta-da! Lights, Wi-Fi, fridge, even medical devices, all of that powered up from the battery inside this vehicle. I couldn't wait to try it. I'd been hearing about it, reading about it for weeks and trying it out. I mean, it worked exactly as advertised. And you mentioned this, 1 in every 4 households now loses power every year. That's expected to get so much worse as this grid kind of struggles and ages in the age of AI and more connected devices. So GM and several other automakers are now doubling down on this massive shift toward this kind of vehicle to home push and also vehicle to grid push.
Well, I was out of power during Hurricane Sandy, and it is no fun whatsoever. And this is a way to keep your food cold and your lights on and your sanity and all of that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I interviewed some people in the Carolinas last year who were out of power for 3 to 6 months. And
okay.
they were telling me about people using their EVs to power up their homes in a pinch. I mean, it's kind of amazing.
Yeah. So what do people need? Is there extra equipment, or how does it work exactly so they can be prepared if in case they do lose their power?
Yeah, well, the key is having a way to use the bidirectional energy. So for this system and this test, we're using GM's Energy Home System. It kind of looks like a sleek series of cool cabinets over here, but I like to think of it as like a personal ATM for power. You can deposit energy from the grid when it's inexpensive or from solar panels during the day, and then withdraw that power at night or during peak prices or when that grid goes down. And when the EV is plugged into your vehicle and using those bidirectional capabilities, you've basically got a second supersized ATM account of sorts that can keep those essentials running, not just for hours, but potentially days, not just for 1 or 2 days, but I mean, over a week, depending on how you're using it. We've heard of some people using it and having it work for as much as 20 days at a time. Of course, it all depends on so many things, like exactly what you're using it to power up, but it's kind of amazing when you think about it.
No, I mean, it really is. And it's a good backup thing, and a good thing to know is there just for peace of mind.
Yeah.
Now, what about energy bills? How does
Yeah.
this impact? Is there a large increase with something like this?
Yeah, amazingly, there isn't, because you're powering up your EV. 90+% of people power their EVs at home already. And these EVs, like the average person drives their EV, their car in general, about an hour a day. So it sits around the other 95% of the time. And the amount of energy being stored in these vehicles already could have a massive ripple effect for the struggling grid. So much so that your local utility company might actually pay you to use your EV in smarter ways. They're right now giving all kinds of extra perks to people just for giving that power back to the grid. So you want to check with your company. You might be surprised at all the incentives they're rolling out. A couple examples for you. In Connecticut, upfront rebate of up to $16,000. That pays for this whole system, plus up to $2,160 a year, basically paying you back for the energy that you're putting back into the grid. In California, upfront rebate of up to $4,500. And there are programs like this popping up all over the place. I spoke with the folks at GM Energy last week. They are teaming up with utilities all across the country to make sure that drivers get those savings.
Yeah, no, I've heard of those. There's a lot of people working with their local utility to share their energy as well. So what's the first place somebody should go to learn more about how to do this?
Well, you can go to my website and read all about my experiment and experience with this. That's techish.com, or you can go to gmenergy.gm.com. And one more thing that a lot of people ask me is like, wow, do you need a giant truck? Do you need that exact vehicle? Well, here's the thing that I just found out as well. Most GM EVs already have bidirectional capabilities today. And by this time next year, virtually all of their EVs will across the fleet. And then we're also seeing a lot of people, especially in places that are dealing with these outages. Florida, Texas, California, here in the Pacific Northwest, the East, Northeast as well. A lot of people investing in these kinds of home energy systems because it's kind of like future proofing the biggest personal gadgets in your world and giving you security, control, and peace of mind during natural disasters or utility outages. It's not just super cool, but instead of depending on that aging grid, you've got control. Instead of wasting energy, you're using it smarter. And instead of waiting for the future, you're basically living in it right now.
Yeah, no, such a good idea. And, people have, medical needs and all this kind of thing, and you want to make sure you have the power to be able to do all that. So,
Yeah.
Jennifer, thank you so much for coming and sharing.
Yeah. Thank you. Always a good time to tell
Yeah,
you about all this crazy new tech stuff.
no, I love it. Thank you.
Thank you.